Hi there, it's Miracle, and today I'm going to do a book review for the first book I read in 2019, and it is Normal People by Sally Rooney. This is such an amazing start for my reading year because this book was so good. I read it in 2 days and I just couldn't put it down. While I was reading this book, I feel like my heart was grabbed by the book and sliced into pieces and fried. Later on, the fried pieces were baked on the oven for a long time. As you can tell, it's a pretty emotional reading experience for me, and I gave it 4.5 stars over 5 stars after I read it. However, I decided to lower my ratings to 4 stars later on because there's some minor issues with representation that I don't really like after I think about it over and over again. But I still really love this book. And now let's dive into the book review. In this book, we follow two people, Marianne and Connell, from their high school years where they lived in a small town where everybody knows each other to their university years where they need to build new connections. This book was about love and soulmate. It described a nearly ideal relationship where you can understand each other just by eye contact, and you feel the other person is the one and the only one who can understand you completely, and your life is more positive and more energetic just because such a person existed. It really makes me appreciate the people in your life who doesn't want to change you, who accept all of you and love you anyway. I know it sounds cheesy and cliche, but on the other hand, you don't get a flowery and sugar-coated soulmate relationship. You still feel the tension and the imbalance of power and the hurt between them every now and then. The book also played with the concept of neglect. It is not a neglection by intention, but it just sometimes you are super close with somebody and you feel a lot of things they should have understood, so you forgot to communicate. I also consider this book as the cruel portrait of the loneliness we face in our day-to-day life. The atmosphere of the book was always solitary, and this is where I can connect with the book the most. With the interaction between characters, we can see their insecurity, the fear of admit their own feelings, and the anxiety of living under the pressure of other people's judgment and expectations, and the feeling of you try to catch something but then you tried so hard and then it slips away. The deeper you go into the book, the stronger you feel like this. Loneliness was something that written in large font and boldly in every single page. I mean metaphorically, not literally. And it was so brutal and hurt so much. Although the focus of the book was between those two characters, it also describes a lot of other kinds of relationships. For example, toxic friendship, passive-aggressive person, bullying people, and also manipulative relationships. It may sound like every relationship in the book was horrible, but it's actually not true because there are other people in the book who are understanding and loving and very caring, such as mother of Connell's, which she makes me really wanted to be a little girl and just stay around her all the time. And relationships aside, this book also critiques some other phenomena we see in society all the time, particularly the fake perfect image that people, especially the elite group, wanted to have. And everything in this book was so natural. All the conversations, the ideas, the gestures of the character, and even the most dramatic situation was expressed in this very natural and lifelike way without over-the-mountain languages. But as I said, I lowered my ratings and there were two main reasons. First of all, later on in this book, there's an event which leads to the following conclusion, and the conclusion was about bullying. Not for the first time, Marianne thinks cruelty does not only hurt the victim, but the perpetrators also, and maybe more deeply and more permanently. This is a statement that I cannot agree at all, because of course it was for the victims that the hurt of the cruelty event was longer. It started from the first day of the bully, and they have to carry the fear and also the shame day after day, and maybe even their personality was formed around that cruelty event. Yeah, for sure, maybe some perpetrator will feel guilty sometimes in the future, but it will be by no means more deeply and more permanently for them. And the second reason is kind of similar to the first one. I think in this book, there's a tone of you deserve it to the victims of bullying, especially with something that's revealed in the last quarter of the book, which I really don't like. I don't think it's a good representation, and I think it's misleading. And I think it's very important for us to know some people, they get bullied just because other people are being mean and being bad. But don't get me wrong, this book didn't do the victim blaming. I think on that point, it was all good. It just, I was troubled by the thoughts or feelings that I thought maybe due to some personal connection to the topic. But yeah, that's the reason why I lower my rating, but it was just a minor disadvantages of the book. I still love it dearly. So overall, please don't be discouraged by the last part of my review. I still highly recommend this book, especially if you are looking for a good contemporary story, a deep character study, and also a casual but a profound writing style. And that's it for this review, and I hope you enjoyed this video and you found this review helpful. If you have any thoughts about this book, please let me know in the comment section down below. Also, if you have read it, do you think I'm overreacting to the things that I talked before, or do you have the same feeling? I'm really curious to know. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching and take care. I will see you in my next video. Bye!